Hello everyone. Today we'll be working on the construction of basic skirt block size 14. So we'll be working with size 14. Subsequent videos we'll get to work with other measurement, probably our own measurement. But for this we'll be working with the basic size 14. And the size 14 measurement comes, we'll be needing our waist, which is the circumference of wherever the measure we place our skirt. We'll be needing the hip, and we'll also be needing the waist to hem. Waist to hem is same as our skirt length. So using the skirt, the skirt block size 14, waist is 70 cm plus 4 for ease. So ease means easy, which means the ease, it gives room for you to sit, it gives room for you to walk. So aside taking the measurement, when you're taking your measurement, you have to take your measurement very firm so that you add your ease. And our hip is 99. Skirt to hem level plus ease is already 64. So for the 99, we'll add 5 cm to it. So that means waist is, total measurement now is 74. Hip 99 plus 5, that's 104. And waist to hem is 64 because we already have the length included in it. So this is the measurement we'll be working with. So to get our basic rectangle, the first step we need to do, get your pattern paper, please. The pattern paper now, you need, if you have your regular pattern paper, you realize that one part is longer than the other. So the longer part is going to serve as the width of your pattern. So for a basic pattern drafting, the longer part of your pattern serves as the width, while the short part, the not so long part, serves as the length. So it's always advisable to do it the right way. Even if your length is not going to work with the skirt length you have, it's best to add an extra paper. But basic placement is this way. That's the longer part serves as the width of your pattern, while the not so long part serves as the length. Now, for us to construct a pattern, we need a block. And for us to get the block consists of, that's the basic rectangle block. It consists of width and length. It consists of width and length. Now, the width here, width, we're going to use 104. That's half of our hip measurement. So half of our hip, 104 divided by 2 will give us 52. So I have my width as 52. And the length will be using the waist to hem level, which is 64. So for length, you don't need to divide. So we only divide the girth measurement. Our girth measurement is the measurement we take round the body. So girth is, that's the hip, the waist, the bust. Those are girth measurements. So the spelling for girth is this. GIRTH. So that's the width of our pattern. We use our girth, which is the hip measurement, 52, half of it, 52. So now for my basic rectangle, I'll be using 52 by 64. 52 by 64. So remember what I said, the widest part of your pattern will use as the width, wide, and also the long part will use as the length. So I have 52. So to centralize my pattern, I have to measure what I have for the width of my pattern. Placement of tape is very important, please. So you place your tape at the edge. This is my 0. This is where it's starting from, to the other end of my paper. So if I check, I have 91.4 here. So my pattern is 91.4. So you minus 52 from 91.4. So because my pattern width is 91.4, doesn't mean your pattern width will be 91.4. Your pattern width can be more or less, so it depends. But 52 is what we are using to minus from 91.4. So if I minus 52 from 91.4, so let me get my calculator. So I have 91.4 minus 52. I'll get 39.4. So equals 39.4. So I have 39.4. So that means I measured my width of my pattern and I removed 52, which is the half hip. After adding the ease to it, I get 39.4. So 39.4 is now the excess. So that means that's the measurement I'll be taking out. So when you have your 39.4 or whatever your answer is, you will now divide by 2. Now that's 19.7. So the reason why I divided it by 2, so that at the end of the day, I'll take 19.7 here, 19.7 out. So that would be my excess. So my pattern can be centralized. Please, centralization of pattern is very important. So I have 19.7. So that means I'll measure 19.7 from one edge. 19, please, placement of your tape is important. 19.7, 5, 6, 7. So to ensure that my lines are going to be straight, I'll measure 19.7. 5, 6, 7. 19.7. So you can do it in bit and then connect, just so your line is very straight. 19.7. And then I'll connect with my ruler. So I have 19.7. So next, instead of measuring 19.7 from my right hand side, I will now take out my 52 because that's the block I want to work with. So it's best you now take out your 52 from here so that you're sure of the measurements you are getting. So I'll just measure 52 out now and mark 52. That's the width. 52. So I'm doing it in bits to ensure my lines are straight. So I have my width of my pattern. Next, now the width has been centralized. That means the excess I have here is the same excess I have here. Next is for us to get the length, and our length is 64. So I'm going to measure what I have here from the top down. So if you check my paper, I already added extra. So because I know my basic pattern paper will not be enough, so I added it. So I'll check what I have now. I have 75.4. So I have 75.4. Now I'll minus 64 from 75.4. Don't forget 75.4 is my own measurement that I have after I've measured my pattern. So my pattern is 75.4 minus 64. We have 11.4. Then I will divide 11.4 by 2 so that I can have equal excess. So I have 5.7. So that's what I'll be using. Now at the top of my pattern, now this is my width. So I'll just measure here because this is what I'll be working with. So I'll measure 5.7 down, 5, 6, 7, and mark 5.7 down, and then 5.7, and then I'll connect. So now I'll now measure my 64 because that's my length. The measurement I want, I'll measure 64 from the top now. Placement of tape is very important. Measure 64 down. Four. And I'll connect to the So if you have a longer ruler, to make your work very easy, because all you need to do is connect straight. You connect it once. So I have my 64. Okay, after getting your rectangle, the next step is to label. So you will label as you work. Now the right side of your pattern becomes your CF, which means center front. The left side of your block becomes your CB, which means center back. Next, what we need to do is divide the width of the pattern into two equal parts and square it down so you get the midpoint. So let's not forget pattern width is 52. So if I get the midpoint, that will be 26, and I'll mark 26, 26 cm. So you measure 26 centimeter and you square it down. Twenty-six centimeter, and you connect. Please try and not have double lines. Your pattern should be very neat. The neater it is, better it shows for it. So we have, and this becomes your side seam. So you label as you walk. So this is our center front, this is our center back. Kindly note that. So the next step is for us to mark the upper hip and the hip line. So for size 14, the upper hip is 10 cm and the hip line is 20 cm. So I'm going to measure from the top 10 cm and I'll mark 10, I'll mark 10. Placement of tape is very important. And then connect for the upper hip line. So you mark and square out. So this is upper hip line. Now the hip line is 20 cm for size 14. So after measuring your 10, you measure 20 cm down, 20 cm down, and 20 cm down. Square out. So this is the hip line. So this is upper hip line, this is hip line. So it's best you label and write out everything you're doing. This is 10 cm. You indicate it. So from here to here is 10 cm, and this is for 20 cm. So you indicate as you walk. So we have our upper hip line and our hip line. So the next step is at the side seam, you're taking 3 cm to your center back, 3 cm to your center front. So this is my side seam, that's the midpoint of my pattern paper. So I'll measure and mark 3 cm and 3 cm. So that's 6 in total. Next, from the 3 cm, take up 1.5 cm up, 1.5 cm up. So you have to be sure that your line is straight. It's best if you can, if you have your set square, to just work with it. So I'm going to use this as my set square and ensure it's on a straight line. Then connect. That's the 1.5 to your 3 cm. So you have to place it very well. This is it. So next, at the CB line, take up 0.5. So now this is your CB line. So you take up 0.5 at the top of the CB line for your new waistline, 0.5. Now connect with your ruler 1.5 to the 0.5. So connect 1.5 to the 0.5 this way. That's your new waistline. For the center front, connect 1.5 to blend to nothing on the center front. So this is it. Next step is to mark your dart. Now for the center back, your dart starts from 7 cm from the center back line and 7.5 cm from the center front line. So this is my center back. I'll mark 7 cm in along the new waistline, 7 cm, and mark. Now 7.5 from center front and mark. So to get, now after marking your 7 cm, next measure what you have from 7 cm to the 1.5 at the side and get the midpoint. So this is 16.1, so that's 8.05. That's 8.05. So I'll be marking it in between 8 and 1. So you measure what you have from your 7.5 for center front to the 1.5. Whatever you have, get the midpoint. So I have 15.5, that's 7.75. So that's the midpoint. So this is the first dart and second dart. Now your center back first dart leg is 15.5 cm. So I'll measure 15.5 from here down. So to be sure my line is straight, you want to be sure, you can use your set square, or you check the width of what you have here and measure it here. Don't forget it was 7 cm. So this way your line will be straight. So if I adjust mark now, it would have moved to the side a bit. So this is 15.5 dart leg. For your for the second dart of your center front, the first one is 15.5. The second dart length is 14 cm. So I'll measure 14 cm down for the second dart leg, and be sure using your set square placement is very important. Then you connect to the 14 cm. So the first one is 15, second one is 14. Now center back dart width is 3 cm on the first dart leg. So the width is 3 cm, which is 1.5 on either side, and the second dart is 2 cm, which is 1 cm on either side. So 3 cm divided by 2, I have 1.5. So I'll measure 1.5 here, 1.5 here. That's 3 cm. The width here is 2 cm. So I'll measure 1 cm in front, 1 cm at the back. And then I'll connect the 1.5 to your 15.5 length. Connect the second 1.5 to your 15.5 length. So this is 15.5 cm length. This is 1.5 and this is 1.5. Total is 3 cm. So I'll connect my 1 cm for my second dart. Connect the 1 cm. So this is 14 cm, that with 1 cm and 1 cm. So over to the center front. Center front length is 10 cm, while the second is 9 cm. So I'll measure 10 cm for the first dart leg, 10 cm, and mark. The second one is 9 cm. So I'm just gonna please use your set square when you're working with this, or you measure what you have and come down. Same thing we did before. So you want to ensure your line is straight. So this is my 10 cm. And this is my 9 cm. So I'm gonna use this to connect. So I have my 10 cm and my 9 cm. So the center front dart width is 2.5. That's 1.25 on either side, and the second CF dart is 1.5, that's 0.75 on either side. So the first one is 2.5 total. So that's 1.25 on either side. So I'll measure 1.25. So this is 1, this is 2. So in between 2 and 3, that's when I'll mark. So 1 point, okay, yes. So I have 1.25. This is 1, this is 1, 2, in between 2 and 3 and mark. The second that's the second CF dart is 1.5, that's 0.75 on either side. So I'll measure after 0.5, 6, 7. So in between 7 and 8, I'll mark. So 0.75. This is 5, this is 6, 7.5. And then I'll connect it. Connect my 1.25 to the dart leg. Connect the second 1.25 to the dart leg to nothing. Connect my 0.75 to blend to nothing on the dart leg. And blend the other. So we have 10 cm dart length, 9 cm dart length, and we have 0.75, 0.75. Here I have 1.25, 1.25 cm. So we're done with the dart. Next, on the upper hip line, from the side seam, take in 0.5 cm on either side. So I'll measure 0.5 cm out to the center back, 0.5 cm out to the center front. Now connecting, it's best to use your French curve because this is not going to lay it properly. So I'm going to just work with this, my other curve. Now connecting from the 1.5, ensure it passes through the 0.5. So that's why you have to place your curve very well. So it's best to use your French curve, otherwise it might be too curvy or not so curvy. So whatever you do, it must pass through this. I'm going to try to play with both curves to see the one that sits best. Okay, so I can actually use this. So it's advisable to use your French curve, please. Use the, not the curve roller. So when you're connecting it, you make sure it touches the 1.5, passing through the 0.5 cm you mark at the upper hip line, but it must not touch the hip line. So it has to blend somewhere in between the line. That was what we marked. Now I'll just flip my curve and connect the other one. So ensure it touches the 0.5, the 1.5 at the top, and blends. So that's the connection. Next, at the hem, take in 0.5 at the hem level, take in 0.5 at the side seam of the hem level. So I'll measure 0.5 to my center back, 0.5 to my center front, and then you need a long ruler to connect. The long ruler has to connect from the 0.5 and blend in to your hip line. Please use a long ruler so that you are sure of your line. Use a long ruler that will just connect it because it needs to blend to nothing on the hip line. Use a long ruler to be sure of what you're getting so you don't have double lines. So I'll connect this. Use a long ruler to avoid any. See, I have to erase it to be sure of what I'm marking. So if you're using a long ruler, it will avoid all this for you. You just have one straight line blending it. So this is 0.5, this is 0.5. So don't forget to label because you can't just drop your skirt like this. So this is it, the full view of the skirt. So see, our pattern is centralized properly. So before you take it out, you have to label. So this is basic, skirt block size 14. So this is our center front. Check all our lines are in there, everything, and we labeled everything. So please don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any question, please write it down at the comment section below. And let's not forget to like the video so we can actually create more videos for you. Thank you very much.